So how do you even begin to summarize an entire month of massive global shifts, policy overhauls, and technological breakthroughs into just a few minutes? I mean, if you look at February 2026, the sheer volume of news is staggering. We're talking about everything from Supreme Court rulings that literally redefine fundamental rights, all the way to geopolitical shifts that could, quite frankly, alter global stability. It can feel completely overwhelming to track, but hey, that's exactly why we're here today. We're going to synthesize all of this critical information into one clear, cohesive explainer, pulling directly from the source material.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's explainer. My goal today isn't just to read you the news. My goal is to organize it, structure it, and help you truly grasp what these developments mean for the future. We're calling this the Pillars of Progress for February 2026.
To make sense of it all, we're using what I like to call an impact radius structure today. We'll start with number 1, rights and the digital age. Then, number 2, the 2026 economic blueprint. 3, frontiers of tech and space. And finally, number 4, India on the global stage.
Starting right at the center with Section 1, Rights and the Digital Age. Basically, how policy directly impacts the individual.
This first one is a massive step for fundamental human dignity. The Supreme Court of India essentially held that menstrual health is an indispensable part of the right to life under Article 21. They ruled that denying hygiene measures is actually a form of structural discrimination, which directly affects the student's right to equality and education. So what's the crucial takeaway here? Well, the court mandated a national menstrual hygiene policy for schoolgirls in classes 6 through 12. This ensures free sanitary napkins and gender-segregated toilets. It's an absolutely crucial win for educational equality. Now, zooming out to the digital world, we're seeing this fierce tug-of-war between corporate data practices and individual privacy rights. The Supreme Court is heavily questioning Meta and WhatsApp's 2021 privacy policy. The concern there is that forced data sharing within the Meta group might be an abuse of their market dominance. On the flip side, experts are scrutinizing India's DPDP Act, pointing out that it kind of lacks clear provisions regarding a user's right to the economic value generated from their own personal data. We are neutrally watching this space as both the courts and lawmakers try to navigate this really complex issue.
I want you to take a second and really look at this staggering number, 1.68 lakh. That is the number of road fatalities India records every single year. It's a deeply sobering statistic, and the leading driver behind this tragic loss of life is overspeeding. When a number is this high, it requires a systemic international response. And that leads us directly to this policy intervention. To combat those 1.68 lakh deaths, the United Nations has actually stepped in, launching a targeted road safety financing project. Right now, this initiative is highly focused on 4 specific states: Rajasthan, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and Assam. The goal here is to fundamentally strengthen road safety systems and, hopefully, dramatically bring down those fatality rates.
All right, let's lift our gaze to Section 2, the 2026 Economic Blueprint. We're mapping the nation's financial future.
And this right here brilliantly illustrates one of the most promising economic shifts we're seeing. According to the Economic Survey, female labor force participation sat at 23.3% in 2017-18. Look at it now. It has nearly doubled to 41.7% by 2023-24. That is a massive demographic shift, highlighting the growing role of women in the workforce and entrepreneurship. That being said, targeted policy action is for sure still needed to break down persistent barriers like unpaid care burdens and mobility constraints. Now, understanding how money flows between the center and the states is super critical. The 16th Finance Commission retained the state's share in the divisible pool of taxes at 41%. The key takeaway from this report is the tight balance between growth and fiscal discipline. They're recommending a strict 3% cap on state fiscal deficits relative to their gross state domestic product.
Okay, quick question. Have you heard of the orange economy yet? If you haven't, you definitely will soon. The Union Budget 26-27 is placing a massive bet on it. The orange economy is basically the creative sector: animation, visual effects, gaming, comics, design, fashion, the whole live entertainment shebang. The government sees this as a huge engine for jobs and cultural influence. To build a talent pipeline early, they're proposing AVGC content creator labs in 15,000 secondary schools and 500 colleges. Plus, they're supporting a brand new Indian Institute of Creative Technologies in Mumbai.
It looks like economics is finally catching up with real life. The Ministry of Statistics just revised the base here for the Consumer Price Index from 2012 to 2024. Until recently, VCRs and DVD players were literally still being used to calculate inflation. No way, right?
Well, those are finally gone, replaced by modern household realities like OTT subscriptions, fitness equipment, and babysitting services. This ensures that when the RBI targets its 4% inflation rate, it's actually measuring the real economy we live in today.
Now shifting gears from the modern digital economy to the absolute bedrock of India, agriculture. 10.4% is the incredibly strong gross value added, or GVA, growth recorded in the agriculture and allied sectors for 2024-25. This really reinforces the sector's rising economic contribution. To sustain this momentum, the government is dramatically expanding primary agricultural credit societies, or PACs. They're basically transforming these from simple credit units into multi-purpose rural service hubs that will handle everything from digital services to storage and agricultural inputs.
Let's move to Section 3 and see how this all builds into the frontiers of tech and space, looking toward the future.
India's human spaceflight program is quite literally taking off. ISRO recently completed a highly successful qualification test of the Gaganyaan drogue parachute. This is absolutely vital for safely stabilizing the crew module during its fiery re-entry into Earth's atmosphere. This test puts us firmly on the path to independently launching 3 astronauts into low Earth orbit for a 3-day mission. Once successful, this will make India only the 4th country in the entire world, after the US, Russia, and China, to achieve independent human spaceflight.
Meanwhile, back on Earth, India's AI landscape is just exploding with government investment. The India AI mission is injecting over 10,000 crore rupees to build raw compute capacity. But they aren't just building the tech. They're figuring out how to govern it via the MANAMV framework for human-centric ethics. Finally, the new Bio-E3 policy integrates AI directly with biotechnology, which is going to dramatically accelerate genomics and drug discovery.
But, with all that massive computing power comes a totally new breed of cybersecurity threats. Enter post-quantum cryptography. These are advanced encryption standards designed to keep our data secure from future, highly powerful quantum computers. India is taking this threat very seriously. The Center for Development of Telematics has partnered with Synergy Quantum to create automated quantum-safe security tools. These tools meet global standards set by NIST and are designed to protect India's most critical sectors from future cryptographic vulnerabilities. And speaking of protecting critical sectors, we also have to protect them from, well, the sun. Indian scientists just made a major breakthrough in space weather research. Using the Aditya L1 spacecraft and ground observatories, they successfully detected shock waves triggered by coronal mass ejections. So why does this matter to you? Because these massive solar ejections can trigger severe geomagnetic storms. We're talking storms that disrupt our GPS systems, knock out communication satellites, and even damage the power grids we rely on every single day. Having this early detection capability is a real game changer for our national infrastructure security.
Finally, let's zoom way out for Section 4, India on the global stage, geopolitics and macro shifts.
Diplomatically, India has been incredibly busy. The 2026 India-US trade agreement successfully reduced U.S. tariffs on Indian goods down to 18%. Looking south, a state visit from Brazil's president resulted in a bold new bilateral trade target of $30 billion by 2030. Furthermore, India positioned itself as a major voice for the global south by leading the New Delhi Declaration on AI, which was actually endorsed by 87 different countries.
So the crucial point here is that while these one-on-one bilateral agreements are thriving, the broader global trade system is under immense strain. The chief of the World Trade Organization issued an urgent call this month pleading for systemic reforms. The global trading system is currently navigating rising protectionism, a completely stalled dispute resolution mechanism, and brand new, really complex challenges regarding digital and climate-related trade barriers. If global commerce is going to keep flowing smoothly, these systemic roadblocks absolutely must be addressed.
Finally, we have to neutrally look at a pretty severe macro shift in global security. Experts are pointing to a highly alarming development, the possible expiry of the New START Treaty. This agreement is currently the very last binding cap on the strategic nuclear arsenals of the United States and Russia. If it is allowed to expire without a replacement, experts warn it could drastically reduce global strategic transparency and directly trigger a renewed nuclear arms race.
Which brings us to the end of our explainer. But I really want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to ponder. If the New START Treaty expires, what does a world without nuclear caps look like for the future of global stability? It's a profound question, and one that will undoubtedly shape the geopolitical landscape in the years to come. I hope this explainer has helped you synthesize the massive shifts of February 2026. Keep asking questions, keep looking at the data, and we'll see you next time as we continue to unpack the pillars of our progress.